Hello and welcome back to our video series on what is the stock market. We have made it to the why does the market exist section, and in this video we will cover the employee compensation, so how employers use the stock market to incentivize their workers. So essentially what a company could do, they could offer to pay you X amount per hour, per year, whatever that amount could be, and that would be great. That would be one way to obviously reward you for your work, incentivize you for your work. The other thing they can do is they can pay you less than that, but then offer you stock options and or grants. Okay, this introduces a risk reward probability piece into the salary component, right, or the compensation piece. So a company might say, hey, we'll pay you $100,000 a year, or that same company might come in and say, hey, we'll pay you $50,000 a year and we'll give you stock that is currently worth $40,000. And if the company does well over the next year, maybe that stock is worth $60,000. Maybe that stock is worth $70,000. Maybe that stock's worth $80,000. So it ties the compensation of the employee to the health and well-being and growth of the company. Okay, so just to discuss how those work for a moment, a grant is just pure stock. There's no option involved. It's just stock. The company says, hey, we're going to give you X shares of the company's stock on a certain day in the future. And the way it often works, they'll pick a big number as part of your compensation package, but you don't get the whole thing until certain time periods. So let's say you get hired. They say, we're going to give you 100,000 shares of stock. You get 10,000 now. You get 20,000 a year from now, you get another 30,000 2 years after that, and then you get the other 40,000, 2 years after that. And I did that in my head. I hope that equals 100,000. I think I got my math right there. So that's a stock grant. Okay, it's vested over a period of time, X number of shares. I'll lay it out ahead of time. You have to work for a certain period of time to collect those shares. Okay, stock options are a little different, very similar, but a little bit different. Stock option is the same thing as a grant, except instead of getting shares, you get the right to buy shares. Okay, so on a certain date in the future, you may have the right to buy shares at, say, $10 a share. Now, you probably wouldn't want to exercise that right if the stock is currently worth $9 a share. Why would you buy shares at $10 when you can simply buy them in the market at $9? Okay, but if you have an option to buy them at 10 and the stock is currently trading at 30, all of a sudden that stock option becomes worth quite a bit more. You can buy them for 10 and immediately sell them for 30 if you want. Okay, so stock options, a little different. Okay, they have expirations. They have some criteria kind of tied to them a little bit, but essentially the same kind of idea. We're going to pay you with some possible money in the future, more possible money than we could just agree to pay you now. You can take 100,000 now, or you can take 50 now and possibly 100 later, if things go well. Okay. The benefits of that, obviously, is it incentivizes harder work. People are going to work harder to make their options or their grants worth more. It does introduce a risk-reward picture, as I mentioned, but it essentially aligns the company's goals with the employees' goals. Right? Employees want the stock to go up. The company wants the stock to go up. The board wants the stock to go up. Everyone's sort of moving in the same direction. So that's the big benefit of using some kind of stock-based compensation agreement. The downside, however, is that if you tie your compensation to the company's performance and the company doesn't perform well, that's not going so well for your employees. And now your employees will start jumping ship. Anyone that's tied to the company performance, anyone whose compensation is tied to the performance, if the performance isn't there, they're taking a big pay cut. Essentially, they're going to find someone else that will pay them better. So it's a risk-reward situation in the comp game. Whether or not that's a good idea is up to each company to decide. Not for me to really weigh in on, but there's certainly a risk-reward element as opposed to just paying a salary. Okay, so we talked about using shares in markets to pay employees. Next time we will talk about markets being used as a vehicle for speculation. This is Matt Williamson from Sigmanomics. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. which is a little bit different than being a board member. If you're a board member, you have a lot of say, a lot of swing in the decisions, but you are not a shareholder. So a little bit different, just to point that out.